Good morning, wrestling fans. We just got finished with the quarterfinal and semifinal round of the PIAA Class AA state tournament for weight classes 106 through 138. I'm joined by Dysen Gould. We're going to have Eric Knopsnyder as well jumping on here in a few minutes. But Dysen, I got to say, it started off with some fireworks at 106, kind of mellowed out through the middle a little bit, and then we had some more fireworks at 120. I would say even 138, that quarterfinal match between Ian Oswalt and Connor Hare was pretty dynamite. There was a lot of good matches, a lot of not so surprising results, but then some results where we're saying, that's interesting. But overall, I think things went pretty much as planned, despite that 120 pounds with Gary Steen and Brent Unger going back and forth. Dysen, first of all, what was your reaction in watching the first opening rounds of the PIAA state tournament?
Yeah, like you said, I think there's a lot of good matches, couple surprising results, couple maybe what we were expecting, but I just 106 really sticks out to me as I have my picks written down right here, and then the actual bracket, and I don't have the finalists correct, it's actually all pretty bad, so it just shows you it was 106 was pretty crazy. Kind of knew going into it that 106 would be fun, so. And like you said, it started off pretty good at 106 and then kind of mellowed out. And then around 10 o'clock, I'm like, wait a second, this is a state semifinals we're about to watch here. And I was like, and then we got some more good matches at 106 and semifinals. I feel like we're all good matches. So a lot of good wrestling so far this morning.
Yeah, a ton of good action. You had mentioned the 106-pound bracket, and we're going to go over that here in a second. But right off the bat, Landon Bainey from West Branch had a big win. He came in ranked number 6. He beat the number 2 ranked wrestler in the state in the first round, the quarterfinal round 6-2. That was the first indication that this bracket was going to be busted, right? Chase Burke had that big win over Brandon Wetzel in the East Super Regional Finals. So he was a Super Region champion, losing to Landon Bainey. Then Cooper Hornack from Burrell takes out Montoursville returning state champion Brandon Wenzel. Then all of a sudden the wheels were off, right? That bracket had been busted. And we kind of knew that coming into it, that especially with these freshmen. And Chase Burke, Brandon Wenzel been back and forth a little bit. Hornack he's long, right? You saw that length really come into play here against Brandon Wenzel. He was able to get the 4-3 win to go into the semifinals. On the bottom half, Louis Gill took care of business against Aiden Smith of Notre Dame Green Pond. Louis Gill 5th in the state, Aiden Smith 7th. On the bottom half, Hunter Robeson from Sagertown also took care of business against Stephen Harris from Conwell Egan, beat him 3-1. Now, so we had the top of the bracket kind of screwed up a little bit, right, with Chase Burke and Wenzel both losing from District 4. So then we had an all-West Super Region semifinals. All 4 of these guys were in the Super Regional finals or Super Regional tournament, and it didn't quite turn out like it did last weekend. That's for sure. Hunter Robeson won the West Super Region last week. He was upset by Louis Gill from Hickory in an amazing match, man. I know you watched that one closely, Dysen. Louis is a guy who you're pretty close with, working out with. Cooper Hornack, on the other hand, was able to outlast Landon Bainey. Now, they had wrestled before. Hornack had a win over him. They didn't wrestle last week. They wrestled in the Southwest Regional Tournament. So now that sets up a freshman-on-freshman finals with Cooper Hornack, Louis Gill, both guys from the West. Both ranked they're ranked 4 and 5 in the state, so you're still close in the state rankings, just not quite where we expected them maybe to finish. Dysen, first, let me talk to you about the Louis Gill Hunter Robeson match. It seemed like Gill just wrestled through positions a little bit better, especially there in that third period. He was able to wrestle through where he looked like he was probably going to get taken down and was able to find a way to get the takedown himself to kind of ice it. What were your thoughts on Louis Gill getting that win over Hunter Robeson?
Yeah, like you said, coming to this match with previously 2 losses to him earlier in the year, I think just coming to this match, he was prepared. He knew what Robeson was going to bring, and Louis is really good at scrambling, and he used that to his advantage in this match in a couple crazy scrambles. So I think Louis did a great job doing what he does best, and great win there for Louis making the finals.
Yeah, and when you look at the finals matchup there with Cooper Hornack and Louis Gill, what do you like about that finals match? Because for me personally, this is something where we had two high quality freshmen. Both guys were on our top incoming freshman reports. Both guys, have had good results this year. However, Louis Gill, I think, is the one who's saying, "Hey, I gotta prove it here." You beat the number one kid in the state. You come into a finals with a guy you're familiar with, Cooper Hornack. What's the game plan for Louis Gill against Cooper Hornack? Because I feel like Cooper Hornack's a little bit favored, right? Especially given his results throughout the year. But if Louis wrestles like he did in the semifinals and quarterfinals, it's going to be a pretty tight match.
Yeah, at the Southwest, it would be the West Super Region, excuse me. It was 3-2 win for Hornack. So really tight match there. One point match. So I think this one's going to be more the same. And I think, like you said, if Louis wrestles like he did in the semis, he's in a good position to win a state title here. And really looking forward to this one, like you said, with two very talented freshmen going at it. So just looking forward to this one. I think Louis gonna come in here if he wrestles like he did in the semis. I'm definitely gonna take Louis.
I mean, you don't have any bias there because you guys work out together, right? So you're not you don't necessarily have any favor either way, do you, Dyson? Or is it something where you're like, I work out with him, I think I've taught him everything he needs to know. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Um, I a little bit biased maybe, but I think he wins this one.
Had he be if he was committed to Iowa, you would definitely be picking him. And like you said, these
Wyatt
two had
Henson's tech phone his way through the bracket.
yeah, Wyatt Henson. Yeah, I know he's so good. The 106-pound match is probably one of the more intriguing ones because we've seen it before. Both these guys are wrestling hot right now, and really with the one-day tournament, it's really about momentum more so than ever before. You don't have those 3 days to prepare for this. It's not a marathon. It's now a sprint. So if you had a good night's sleep last night, if you had a good meal, your weight was good, you're in a much better position as you would have been, on Thursday, day one versus Saturday, day three of the state tournament. So this is very much preparation, I think, is so key in these one-day kind of tournaments. So I appreciate your insight there, Dyson. Let's go up to 113 pounds where things, I would say pretty much went as expected. We saw a District 4 finals that's going to happen here with Jaden Pepe and Gavin Bradley. But how they got there, I don't know if you watched the Pepe Justin O'Neill match from Hickory. That was a close 3-1 match, and Pepe didn't really open up too much in that first match. Robert Gardner beat Bryce Beatty from Mount Union. He beat him 10-3, which was a pretty good decision. And then Gavin Bradley, he had his hands full with Chris Vargo from Bentworth, who we've talked about multiple times on the show. Bradley beats Vargo, and on the bottom half, Cohen Bainey from Baltimore area takes out Adam Schweitzer from Notre Dame Green Pond to set up a 3 guys from District 4 all in the semifinals. Pepe and Gardner and Bradley, right? And we look at the rankings, the state rankings currently. Pepe had defeated Bradley in the East Super Region, so Pepe comes in number 1, Bradley 2, Bobby Gardner 3. So they all ranked 1, 2, 3 in the state. Bainey was 4. So I mean, I guess whoever does the double A rankings is pretty good at them, Dyson, because they got 1, 2, 3, 4 all in the semifinals there. Pepe is able to squeak out a 1-0 win over Robert Gardner from South Williamsport, and Gavin Bradley of Athens area, he's able to get a 10-7 win over Cohen Bainey. Kind of a fun match there. Dyson, what were your thoughts when you saw Pepe early on? Because I thought he looked a little bit sluggish, and I didn't know if he was going to be able to outlast even O'Neill and let alone Gardner.
Yeah, I thought that first match, like you said, it was a real close match. Good match from O'Neill. He was able to keep it close, and I thought maybe even there was a chance that O'Neill was going to be able to pull off the upset there. And then moving on to the semis, there only a 1-0 win. It was kind of it was low scoring, obviously 1-0, but it's not too much action. Kind of Pepe just kind of controlling the match, getting the 1-0 win, and then making the semifinals. And then down at the bottom, that Bradley Vargo match, I really like that one. That was a That was a good match. Bainey Schweitzer, Bainey was able to get out the win there and get that one. Then Bainey Bradley, that was also another fun one, high scoring 10-7 match win for Bradley.
Yeah, I agree. And Bradley just, he continues to find ways to grind out wins, it seems like. And he and Pepe have wrestled numerous times, throughout their careers and this season alone. In fact, if you look at it's split. So Bradley beat him on February 27th. He beat him 5-3. Pepe won last week on the 6th. He won 9-6. So Pepe, I don't know how he scored. He only scored 4 points in his first 3 matches or first 2 matches, right? So and he put up 9 on Bradley a week ago. I don't know where that offense is because I haven't seen it. I don't know if it's the weight cut or what, but I think he's going to have a tough draw there with Gavin Bradley. I'm going to switch it over because we got a special correspondent from Giant Center. We got Eric Knopsnyder coming in. Eric, what's going on, brother? How's everything going there?
So I'm designated a correspondent now. Did I drop in stature or what?
No, who said you were a correspondent? Did I say
you said a special correspondent? Wow.
Oh no, I meant
I'm not even a member of the team anymore.
No, I meant he's our on the ground specialist. You are more than a correspondent. Right. You are a specialist.
I thought I missed a memo or something.
You got in, brother. You're in. So Dyson and I just talked a little bit about 106 and 113. Can you give us a little bit of your thoughts on 106 with that Hunter Robeson Louis Gill match? I know you talked to Louis Gill afterwards, and even Cooper Hornack and Brandon Wenzel in that early round. What were your thoughts on that 106-pound bracket?
The Louis Gill one, there was a fantastic scramble there in the third period that it looked like I think it was 3-1 at the time, and Gill looked like he was giving up points. Robeson had him dead to rights, I thought. But, that's what Louis Gill does. He scrambles, and he found a way out of it and was able to get a victory there. And it was funny. I talked to him afterwards, and I saw his coach cleaning up a spot on the floor. And I'm like, did you just puke? He's like, yeah, I was so nervous I threw up after the match. Like, wow. It was great to see that, just raw enthusiasm, though, that he was that into it, that, he was nervous, but, he fought through those nerves and got the victory.
Yeah, and we've seen Louis Gill throughout the season, Powerade tournament, the West Super Region tournament, and he's been right there. He's been right there with those guys, and Cooper Hornack is a guy who, he's familiar with. I'd say you throw in the bag all those guys from the West Super Region, Cooper Hornack, Louis Gill, Hunter Robeson, and Landon Bainey as well. They're all gonna get some wins on each other. They're all gonna kind of, beat each other up a little bit, but it seems like whoever got hot. What are your feelings into the finals there with, that rematch between Cooper Hornack and Louis Gill, Eric?
Yeah, that one's going to be, I don't know. I mean, Gill looks really good, and Hornack, just kind of grinds out these victories. Like, I thought he was in trouble with Bainey there. He was losing 1-0, I think it was. It was a tight match, and he came up with, I think, a takedown or a reversal there, in the third period to pull it out, because I thought Bainey was in control of that one. Nearly turned him. Like, I thought, okay, Bainey's getting this one this time, but Cooper Hornack, just is a kind of a gutty, gritty kid, and able to find ways to get those 1-point victories.
Yeah, he's long, right? You can really see that in the watching him wrestle, that he's long, and he kind of uses that length to his advantage. Louis Gill just seemed to be scrambling really well in his matches, especially with Robeson. So that scramble ability is really key.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting because Hornack will spend a lot of time on his knees in neutral. He'll be, not looking to give up anything. So it could be a really low-scoring match because I don't see Hornack taking a ton of shots, because that feeds right into Gill's offense whenever you're trying to scramble with Louis Gill.
Now, a little bit outside your wheelhouse, bet 113 pounds. You had 3 guys from District 4 all in the semifinals. That was, and we kind of expected that coming in. I mean, they were ranked 1, 2, and 3 in the state. You had Jaden Pepe from Wyoming, and then you also had Gavin Bradley from Athens area and Bobby Gardner from South Williamsport. I said earlier with Dyson was Pepe did not really open up at all in his matches. He only totaled 4 points in order to get to the finals. He beat Justin O'Neill 3-1 and then Bobby Gardner 1-0. Gavin Bradley, on the other hand, he had a really tight match there with Cohen Baney from Baltimore area, 10-7. That was a good match. But he also had a very good first-round match, quarterfinal match with Chris Vargo from Bentworth. Eric, what were your thoughts on 113?
I did get to see a little bit of Pepe and O'Neill there. That was one where Pepe needed a third period takedown to win that one. As you said, it was 1-1, and I think in the final minute there, maybe something like that. Gardner looked really good against Bryce Beatty. He did a nice job there. I didn't get to see that semifinal between those. You said that was a 1-0 win for Pepe?
Yeah,
that what that was?
Yeah, 1-0.
And then I did see Bradley and Baney going at it, and those guys were leaving everything on the mat. They both looked like they were exhausted in the final 30 seconds of that. And Baney was trying to make a comeback, but Bradley, he's just such a little bull. I mean, he's just so muscular, and he seems to me like he's been around forever already, and he's only a junior. Like he's just a kid that he's just so compact and tough to do much with, and he's able to put up 10 points there on Baney, who looked really good last weekend at the Super Regional.
Yeah, I agree with you with that kind of pit bull mentality he is. He's just short and stocky, and he really knows how to slow matches down. Let's go up to 120 pounds, where the really most anticipated semifinal match of the round had to be Gary Steen and Brent Unger, right? These guys have history together. They wrestled in the finals of the Ironman, probably the toughest tournament in the nation. They wrestled in the semifinals of the state tournament last year. They wrestled in a team state tournament. But before we get there, basically everything kind of went to chalk in the quarterfinal rounds. Unger beat JoJo Sabishin, Gary Steen, Tech followed Parker Davison. Owen Reinsel had a nice win over Barvitsky of Southern Columbia, and Mason Gibson Tech followed Ethan Kolb. No real surprises there, but that set up some hammer 1, 2, 3, 4 in the state rankings in the semifinals. The biggest one, though, had to be Brent Unger and Gary Steen. I know all three of us were closely watching that match, and that flurry position towards the end there, it kind of looked like Steen was going to be able to, shimmy his hips and get out, and then all of a sudden, Unger just kept on following and somehow ended up with a takedown. And man, that was a razor thin match there. Eric, what was the environment like watching that match, and really what was the key in that match?
I mean, as you said, that one scramble. I know I was trying to watch both matches, with Mason also going on at that time. I follow him pretty closely for the Johnstown newspaper, so I was watching both of those, and I'm bouncing back and forth. And I remember thinking at one point in the first period, I'm like, man, I don't think I've seen Steen and Unger touch each other. Like they were in space the whole first period, it seemed. So, that one scramble in the third period was really key. And, Unger, I talked to him afterwards, and he was just so excited about it. He said, I really wanted this one. I last year I let it get the sudden victory, and I knew I couldn't do that this year, so I had to score in that scramble situation, and he was able to come up with that one. And the atmosphere, it's been a little weird here because I had to remind myself when we got started at 106 in the semis, I'm like, this is the same round that's usually going on at 7 or 8 o'clock at night on a Friday night, and it's packed, and the atmosphere is so electric, and I'm hyped up for it, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is still semifinals. I mean, it's great wrestling, but there a couple hundred people in the arena, it feels like, and it just didn't feel at all like it was really the same atmosphere. I mean, it got a little bit loud, but it's just not what we're used to here in Hershey.
Yeah, and going back to that Unger and Steen match, Unger had a stall warning in the second period, which I thought was critical, because in the third period, kind of relented and said, hey, we'll put him back on his feet and let Gary Steen have the escape. And then that's when that flurry happened with 14 seconds left in the match. But just two high quality wrestlers, both Division I commits. Unger's going to Cornell, Steen's going to Penn State. But on the other side, and Dyson, I know you and I talked a little bit about this, but Mason Gibson had his hands full with Owen Reinsel. I know it was a major decision, but it was a very tight match going into that third period. Was I hate to say it, is Mason putting the cart before the horse here, or did he kind of look past Owen Reinsel? Dyson, let me go to you first.
I think I was mainly I had both matches on the screen, but I was mainly watching this Unger Steen one, and then I looked over, and it was probably end of the second period, and I saw this 4-4, and I was like, what the heck is happening here? And then he was able to open it up a little bit and end up winning 19-8, but he was able to, it was like you said, Renzo was able to give him a better match than maybe expected than the last two matchups. But that Unger Steen match, uh, that was like you guys said, it came down to that last flurry at the end there, and I've actually went back and watched the match from last night. It was just so much, just crazy. With it was not loud at all during that match, and then when you watch last night, and it's like it was pretty loud. But
yeah, it was completely different. Eric, I know you said you were kind of switching back and forth. Mason got the opening takedown, then escapes, and then Reinsel gets another takedown, and then he rode him out for 25 seconds to end the first period to go up 3-2 after one. And then it's basically all Mason, but it's still Reinsel. You know, again, he's a state medalist. He's a guy, but he did tech him before, so you kind of get into that mode of thinking, all right, he's just going to come out and mop the mat with him again.
Well, I think you got to give a lot of credit to Reinsel. I think he changed his game plan up, and he wanted to get into scrambles with Mason. And Mason doesn't normally get into those scramble opportunities. He usually is snapping you down and, a clean go behind. He's getting a really quick shot in and a clean finish. Normally guys can't scramble with Mason, and he doesn't get in those situations. But Reinsel was able to scramble with him today, and that's how he got the takedown. That's how he really fought off a couple other good opportunities in that first period that he was able to scramble with Gibson and that. But I mean, it's just so hard to keep up that pace with him for 6 minutes. I mean, it's almost impossible. We haven't really seen. Steen was able to do it for a decent portion of the match last week, but even that, Steen looks for an inside trip on it, and Mason's able to hit that nasty duck under that he did. I mean, it's hard to go 6 minutes with him and stop all of the offensive attacks that he has.
And so we got to talk about it. So the finals matchup here between Mason Gibson and Brett Unger, probably one of the most highly anticipated matches. Both guys are ranked, I believe, top 12, top 15 in the nation. Mason Gibson, a Super 32 champion as an 8th grader, Super 32 runner-up last year. He is a guy who, we were kind of expecting a Steen third match because we saw it at True Power. We saw it at the West Super Region. And I love Gary Steen, but I'm excited to see where Mason Gibson and Brett Unger match up because – like you said, at first, Unger and Steen, they weren't even touching each other. Mason's going to touch Brett Unger. He's, what I'm saying? He's going to get after him. It's how Brett Unger scrambles very well, and he's very good from, he's good from space, but he's also good from, his head defense. And I'm wondering if Mason gets frustrated with that at all, and if he can get his quick, slick go-behinds like he's normally able to get. I just don't know. Eric, I mean, you've got to be pretty excited to be seeing that match in person.
Oh yeah, that's for me. That's certainly the highlight. We haven't seen the heavyweights yet, but it's hard to imagine one that I'm going to be more excited for than Unger and Mason Gibson in that, because as you said, we haven't seen that one before. I mean, I would have gladly signed up for another round of Mason Gibson and Gary Steen, but I really wanted to see Unger just because we haven't seen that one before. So I think this one will definitely be a fun one. And as you said, if you can stop Mason from getting 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of those snap down go behinds that he seems to get every match, then you give yourselves a chance. But I mean, it's so hard to do that because he's just so physical and banging on the head with that left-handed club and just, kind of forcing the action there that he wears guys down and is able to get those go behinds and make them look so easy.
Dysen, you've watched Brett Unger, watched his matches last night with Gary Steen. You've seen Mason Gibson a lot. What are your thoughts going into this match at 120?
I think kind of going into this one, I kind of wanted Steen to win that one just to see that match again. But also then now that you guys are talking about it, I'm really excited for this one just because of the style matchups and the contrasting styles with Unger and then Unger trying to stay away and kind of work from space, and Mason just working with hand fighting and heavy clubs and stuff like that. So excited to see how this one plays out with the contrasting styles.
So one that we're very much looking forward to. Let's go up to 126 pounds, where just like 113, we had 3 guys all from District 4 in the state semifinals. We had Scott Johnson from Muncie. He beat Ross Dahl of Chestnut Ridge in the quarterfinals. Gabe Gramley from Mifflinburg, he beat Connor Saylor from Hickory in the quarterfinals. Gable Strickland beat Chase McLaughlin, and Joey Fisher beat Nolan Ziegler from West Perry. So Scott Johnson, Gabe Gramley, Muncie Mifflinburg, classic match right there. Gable Strickland, Joey Fisher. That was a tight match, and I know Eric was able to talk to Fisher afterwards. That was an overtime tiebreaker match. That was a very good match. But first, let's talk about Scott Johnson from Muncie, because he has been, and I remember last year as a freshman, he was only a state qualifier, highly anticipated freshman, but wasn't able to get to the medal round. Now he finds himself in the state finals. That's hard to do, for people to go from not getting into the medal round to now going to the state finals. Scott Johnson does that. He beats Gabe Gramley 5-0. Strickland falls to Joey Fisher. So first, let's talk about Scott Johnson. Eric, you got to see a little bit of him, I'm sure, especially in that Ross Dahl match. What were your initial thoughts on watching Scott Johnson from Muncie?
Just solid. He wasn't putting up a ton of points, but just solid, and did a nice job there of keeping to what he does and not really looking to do too much. I know he was pretty happy with that one, with the Ross Dahl. I actually got a chance to catch up with him too, and he's kind of a quiet kid, just like, hey, I went out and did what I needed to do, and excited to be in the finals and see what I can do against Joey Fisher.
Yeah, and he's really going to have to bring it against Joey Fisher. Now, Joey Fisher, on the other hand, he was pushed, right? And we kind of knew going into this match that he was going to be pushed by Strickland, who's going to Lock Haven. Strickland's a guy who like Fisher, is a senior, a 2-time state medalist. He finished 5th twice. The kid knows how to wrestle, right? Now, Scott Johnson has beaten Strickland the last couple weeks here, so that kind of puts you in perspective of where these guys are. Joey Fisher took Strickland to tiebreaker, and he was able to get the escape and get the ride out. Dysen, did you watch that Fisher and Strickland match?
Yeah, I did.
And what were your thoughts on that one?
I thought it was a fun match. I knew going into it that Strickland was gonna be able to keep it close and possibly pull out the win. Fisher, maybe not the typical, or maybe not like Gibson and Arrington, the guys blowing above him here, and as number one guys, not really known for blowing guys out here of recent, but he's able to get the wins, and so I knew Strickland was going to be able to keep it close here, and I figured I didn't think it was going to be that close, but there's a couple good scrambles there towards the end in overtime, and I really like that match, and looking forward to this final with Johnson and Fisher.
Yeah, and this one is the finals matchup between Fisher and Scott Johnson it's an intriguing one, right? Because Johnson's been so good, but we don't have a lot of comparables on him. Like Fisher, we've seen in the Powerade state or Powerade finals. We've seen him here in Hershey before. He was in the state finals against Gary Steen last year. Scott Johnson still, as a sophomore, a little bit unknown, even though he tore through a very, very loaded District 4 Northeast and East region, super region at 126 pounds. So, we saw Strickland push him, but Fisher, and he let out a lot of emotion, Eric, after that match. He kind of yelled, and it was getting a little chippy. He kind of pushed him down a little bit during one break. And, I think Fisher just saying, hey, I'm not going to be denied this year.
Yeah, I talked to Joey afterwards, and he said that he was looking up in the stands and seeing Jody Strickmatter, and Joey saying head and heart. This is what this is what's going to win you this match is your head and your heart. That you got to be smart in these situations, but you just got to gut it out, because there was as Dysen said, there was one of the better scrambles of the morning session that I saw came in that round, where I thought Joey had a takedown, and then I thought Strickland had a takedown, and all the fans, again, it wasn't a crazy atmosphere here, but in that one, that was a pretty loud atmosphere, because the fans were going nuts. They thought Strickland had a takedown there, ends up being nothing. We go to ride out. I mean, it was a great match.
Yeah, it certainly seemed to be, and you could hear the Benton fans. I don't know how many they're there, but they're loud for whoever they are there. Let's go up to 132 pounds, where complete domination really by Jackson Arrington, and we had talked about, in fact, Hayden Hidley just tweeted out something like Young Wolf, he's playing 0 games. He really is. I mean, Jackson Arrington, whatever he's doing is working, because he's just completely dominating. He gets a 20-7 major decision over Cade Wernzenberger from Meadowbrook Christian in the quarterfinals to meet Zach Whitmer in the semifinals, a guy who he's seen at least twice before in the postseason. Whitmer had a nice 5-4 win over Connor Heckman. That was a number 4 versus a number 5, with Whitmer being the 4, so that was a nice win for him. Connor Pierce from Harbor Creek was able to beat Caden Wagner from Lewisburg, and Brandon Kletos from Notre Dame Green Pond was able to win over Kyle McCullum by Tech Fall. Kletos on the top half, we kind of all expected him to come out from the top. He won a very tough 5-0 match over Connor Pierce. Now, you compare, we talk about transitional property between Jackson Arrington and Connor Pierce. Eric, I know Tammy took a photo of Connor Pierce as being kind of annihilated by Jackson Arrington. Kletos beats him 5-0. Arrington 9-2 at the time of the fall over Zach Whitmer. He's in the finals, number 1 versus number 2 in the state. Both guys are juniors who are going to Division I schools. Jackson Arrington going to NC State, Kletos going to Rutgers. I mean, again, I think we talked about this on the preview show. Until someone can prove that they can hang with Jackson Arrington, I have him all day. Eric?
Yeah, I think the only thing harder than wrestling Jackson Arrington is me trying to come up with questions for him every time I interview him. Because I'm like, so you really beat up that kid today? It's like Groundhog Day. It's the same interview over and over again. I'm like, well, you're really dominant out there, Jackson. I got to become a better interviewer because I can't come up with anything new for him because it's you go out, you score about 8 takedowns, and then you pin the guy or tech fall him. So it's really tough to find something new to talk to Jackson about, because he's just breezed through everyone, really.
So this will be the second time he's in the state finals, first time since his freshman year where he won it at 113 pounds. And, I hate to sound like, Kletos has no shot, because he's very good. He was third in the state last year at 120 pounds. He's a very, very sound wrestler. And sure enough, I believe he probably will make it a match with Jackson Arrington. I have a hard time feeling like, hey, Jackson Arrington's in trouble, considering he has shown no weaknesses. There's no chinks in his armors whatsoever from Powerade to the postseason till now. He's just been so dominant. Dyson, do you feel like this match is going to be a blowout for Arrington? Do you think it's going to be close? What are your thoughts?
I'm thinking he might get the major here. Arrington beat Pierce, I believe, by 13. Didn't quite get the tech fall at the end last weekend. But Kletos was only able to score 5 on him, only beat him 5-0 in a tough match. So I think, like you said, Kletos is a really good, tough wrestler. But I think Arrington's just on another level, and I think he's going to get the major here.
Okay, you heard it here first. Dysen Gould saying major for the Forest Hills Ranger. Let's go up to 138 pounds here. Eric, I told everyone, I said, these are 5 quarterfinals you have to watch tomorrow. Ian Oswalt and Connor Hare was one of them, and for good reason. That one was a absolute battle. That was very, very razor-thin close between Ian Oswalt and Connor Hare. 2-1, and I believe that was just in tiebreaker, not ultimate tiebreaker. I could be wrong there. No, it was ultimate tiebreaker, 2-1 ultimate tiebreaker. Ian Oswalt, and we know that he was poised for that third match in a row with Brock McMillan. Second time in the state finals, these two are going to face each other. But man, that roadblock that he had with freshman from Montgomery, Connor Hare. Eric, what were your thoughts on that match? Because I know you were Matt side and got to see that one.
Yeah, you could tell that the Burrell coaches knew, just like you did, that was going to be a major, major test for Ian Oswalt. I mean, Burrell seems like they've always got about 8 coaches there around the area, and they were all going nuts the whole time. I mean, you could tell that they knew this was a match that Harrer could possibly find a way to steal. But, Oswalt did what he needed to do there. I believe he got ridden out in the first tiebreaker. So it was like, man, then you really got the pressure on him that he's got to ride out Harrer in the second. And so then when it came to ultimate tiebreaker, it was like, well, what do? Do you think you can get out? And they said, no, we're going to go ahead and try to ride him out. And he was able to do that. And just, a phenomenal match there that was probably the match of that quarterfinal round.
And you look at the bottom half, Amon Ol from St. Joe's Academy. He had a nice 4-2 win over David Kreidler from Allentown Central Catholic. That was a number 6 over a number 4. Kreidler had a big win in the East Super Region. Also, Brock McMillan takes care of business, beats Logan Bartlett from Lewisburg by tech fall. Then McMillan, these guys are kind of in the same neck of the woods here. Not really too surprising. Brock McMillan handles business 9-4 against him. The match I was looking forward to was that Ian Oswalt and Eric Aldurfer from Faith Christian Academy match, because that's a number 2 versus a 3. And also because Ian had just spent 7.5 minutes wrestling, and it's a quick turnaround. Alderfer, is a guy who we saw down at 32 at the Powerade tournament. In fact, if you go back and watch his match with Nate Roth, it was a good match. But he decides to go to 138 for the postseason. Maybe it's a weight issue, so you're kind of thinking maybe he's a little bit more fresh. But Ian Oswalt was able to get the 2-0 decision there. Eric, were you able to see that one?
I did not get to see that when I was catching up on interviews, and I didn't get to see the 138 semifinals. Unfortunately, by the time I got done with all the interviews, they were wrapped up. But Ian Oswalt just finds a way. Unfortunately for him, he's got Brock McMillan that he always runs into. Ian Oswalt has been a great wrestler over the past couple of years, but it's Brock McMillan that's standing in his way again, and it's going to be. He's got to find a way to do something differently than the past 5 times they've wrestled or whatever it is.
Yeah, and it's it's the definition of insanity, right? You just keep on doing the same thing, expect different results. Ian Oswalt's throwing everything he can at him. He's throwing literally everything he can. So, you talked about Burrell's 8 coaches. Their coaches, I really think that, those adjustments that you make between those matches are critical. And, analyzing film and looking at tape and saying, hey, these are openings that we need to take. These are things that we know what we're going to do. It's when you wrestle someone that many times, things are bound to change a little bit. We're adjusting the tactics. But like you said, McMillan has been able to figure it out how many different times. And it seems go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that's a credit to him because Burrow has one of the best coaching staffs in the state. I mean, they do a phenomenal job. And the fact that they haven't been able to get that adjustment to get that victory over him, I think that says a lot about Brock McMillan and, the Glendale staff and what they've been able to do with him because they're anticipating those adjustments and still finding a way to counter move whatever it is that Ian Oswalt is doing to try to get the victory this time.
Dysen, let me kick it over to you real quick. Do you think Ian Oswalt, Brock McMillan's going to live up to it, or do you think we're going to have another kind of 5-2, 4-2, 2-1 type of match here between these two that know each other so well?
Yeah, I'm thinking kind of the same thing we've always seen or have been seeing with the 2 to 3 point matches. Kind of just, I think it's just they know each other so well and what each other's going to do, and they've been doing the same thing, so I think it's just going to be pretty much the same of what we've been seeing.
All right. Well, hey, we are going to cut it off there because we've got.
Wait, hold on 1 minute. 1 minute, Jeff. We've
sorry.
got a special guest. We got a special guest wandering into the
Look
screen
at this.
here.
Greg Warnock is here on.
You know what? I can't hear Jeff, which is a great thing. That's like the best thing ever.
Well,
I don't want to hear him.
Wow, that I was expecting a little bit more love from my War Up co-partner Greg Warnock, but what do I expect? What do I expect from Greg?
Maybe if you'd gotten him a PA Power mask, he'd be nicer to you.
Yeah, you're right.
Look at this. What is this?
I'm sorry, bro. Well, listen, Eric, I'm glad you got in. I'm glad Greg got in. I'm glad we've got boots on the ground in Hershey. The Giant Center cannot keep us out.
They can't keep us out.
The
Jeff.
PIAA flow doesn't matter. They can't keep us out. We are there. Eric, you've been doing a great job of killing it on interviews and coverage, and we appreciate your hard work and dedication. Mark Billett's been taking some pretty nice photos. I haven't seen him yet, but I'm pretty sure they're probably nice. We are going to be back again. We're going to go live again after the semifinal round of the 145 through 285 pound weight class. And of course, we have quarterfinals starting for those weight classes at 12 o'clock noon here. So just 13 minutes away at the Giant Center. Eric, anything else you want to say before we sign off and you get back to work?
No, it's been, a little bit of a surreal experience here, but excited to be here and still see some great wrestling. Unfortunately, it's not the same atmosphere that we're used to, but for these kids, at least they get to be here. They get to wrestle for state championships, and that's awesome. So, I understand the restrictions that the PIAA was facing, so they did what they needed to do to get these kids an opportunity to come down here and get a medal.
Absolutely. And like I said, we will be going live again following the semifinals of the 145 through 285 pound weight classes. So make sure you catch us back there in just a little bit. I'm Jeff Upson. Thank you to Dysen Gould and also Eric Knopsnyder from the Giant Center for tuning in, and we will be back very soon. Talk to you soon.